I was gone for 1 semester. Just 1. College had barely started, and I was already drowning in textbooks, cafeteria food, and awkward dorm roommates. I missed home. I missed my bed, my little reading nook by the window, even the squeaky floorboard outside my closet. So when Thanksgiving break rolled around, I was practically bouncing with excitement. But the second I stepped through the front door of my family's house, something felt off. There were extra shoes by the entryway. A Barbie backpack hung on the coat rack. And before I could ask, my mother greeted me with the fakest smile I've ever seen and said, "Rachel, sweetie, we have a little surprise for you." Spoiler, it wasn't little. They had given my bedroom, my sanctuary, my space, to my 11-year-old cousin Madison. Apparently, her parents were going through things, which I later found out meant her dad got caught with his Pilates instructor and her mom was living in a hotel with weekly rates. So naturally, my room became charity. I blinked. So, where am I sleeping? Mom hesitated like she hadn't actually thought that far. Well, we set up a little spot for you in the laundry room. It's cozy. Cozy? A mattress next to a spinning whirlpool and a basket of mismatched socks. That wasn't cozy. That was humiliating. I tried to keep it together. I really did. But when I walked into my old room and saw it painted lavender with unicorn posters, I nearly lost it. My bookshelf was gone. My posters, my rug, my desk, even my mirror, all gone. It was like I had never existed. And Madison? She looked up from her iPad and said, "Why are you in my room?" Her room. The irony nearly choked me. I confronted my parents later that evening. I thought maybe there had been a misunderstanding. Maybe they thought I wouldn't mind. Maybe, just maybe, they'd apologize. They didn't. "You're only here for a few days," my dad said with a shrug. It didn't make sense to leave the room empty when Maddie needed it. Didn't make sense. I was their daughter, not a temporary tenant. And yet somehow, I'd been demoted below the family pet in household priority. The dog still had his bed in the living room. I was sleeping beside fabric softener. So that night, as I lay on a lumpy twin mattress surrounded by Tide Pods and resentment, I made a decision. This house didn't feel like mine anymore. But I knew exactly how to make a new one. One close enough to remind them every single day of what they threw away. You see, what they didn't know was that I had been working part-time and investing in crypto for the past 2 years. And it had gone, surprisingly well. Revenge wasn't going to be loud. It was going to be subtle. Delicious. And visible from their kitchen window. Because I had already called the real estate agent. And the house next door was for sale. The next morning, I was up before sunrise. Not because I was excited. Because the dryer was rattling like a jet engine 3 feet from my head. Madison had apparently thrown in a load of glittery pajamas at 6 a.m., and no one had thought to warn me. I packed my things into the same duffel I brought home, minus the dignity I arrived with. Over breakfast, my mother chirped, "Oh Rachel, don't forget to help Maddie with her school project before you leave. She really looks up to you." I smiled so hard it hurt. "I would, Mom, but I have an appointment." She raised an eyebrow. "With who?" I sipped my coffee and said sweetly, "A realtor." That shut her up. By noon, I was walking through the house next door with a clipboard and a very eager agent named Beth, who was wearing heels way too high for that much enthusiasm. "It's a charming 3-bedroom, recently renovated," she said, gesturing at the granite countertops like she was introducing royalty. "New roof, finished basement, and it even has a sunroom." I nodded, pretending to care about the sunroom. What I really cared about was the location, exactly 14 feet from the backyard my parents used to host barbecues and forget my birthday. And the best part? The sellers were desperate. Divorce. Ugly one. They wanted out fast. And I wanted in even faster. By the time Beth asked if I needed to think about it, I was already signing the offer letter. Back at my parents' house, no one suspected a thing. My mom was too busy planning Maddie's "welcome to your new room" tea party, and my dad had retreated to the garage to avoid conflict, or laundry duty. Madison had discovered my old Bluetooth speaker and was using it to blast Kids Bop versions of songs that should never be sanitized. The place felt like a parody of home. And I was just a guest in it. I stayed quiet. I smiled when asked to. I even helped clean up after dinner. Because sometimes the best revenge starts with perfect politeness. The following week, while my parents were at church and Madison was at her princess etiquette class, yes, that's real, the moving trucks pulled up. I stood outside in the driveway, arms crossed, watching furniture slide into my new house. My sofa. My bookshelves. My espresso machine that my mother said was too fancy for our kitchen and now lived 14 feet away from hers. By the time my family pulled into the driveway that afternoon, I was sipping a latte from my porch swing and waving like a suburban Stepford ghost. My mom stepped out of the car and stared at the "for sale" sign. But it didn't say "for sale" anymore. It said "sold." And right below it, in a smaller font, buyer, Rachel Whitman. My mom's face turned the color of overcooked ham. I smiled. Let the games begin. It didn't take long for the whispers to start. By Monday morning, the neighborhood group chat was lighting up like a Christmas tree. Apparently, the Whitman's daughter bought the Jenkins place, was hotter gossip than someone's affair with the HOA president. My mother didn't speak to me. Not directly, anyway. She preferred to peek through the blinds and whisper to my dad as if I couldn't see her silhouette moving like a deranged puppet show. The tension? Delicious. Especially when I hired landscapers. Not just any landscapers, an entire team. Every morning at 7 a.m., like clockwork, a fleet of lawnmowers, weed whackers, and men named things like Kyle and Chaz showed up with leaf blowers that could power a jet engine. They trimmed everything to surgical perfection. My backyard looked like a luxury golf course. My parents' lawn, by comparison, looked like a yard sale hosted in a field of dandelions. It drove my dad insane. One day he stormed over, trying to act casual. "You know, Ratch, you really didn't need to move next door." I took a sip of my iced coffee. "Oh, I didn't have to. I wanted to." He opened his mouth like he had more to say but realized there was no good follow-up when your daughter owns the house with the better view. Then came the party. I invited everyone, old neighbors, high school friends, a few local business owners I'd invested with. I even invited the Jenkinses, the couple who sold me the house. They brought wine and whispered juicy stories about my parents with absolutely no shame. As music played and laughter echoed, my mom watched from her porch with that look people have when they realize they bet on the wrong horse. Madison peeked over the fence, holding one of my old books, one with my name still scribbled on the inside cover. She looked confused. I almost felt bad. Almost. Then I remembered how she said, "Why are you in my room?" and that pity evaporated like spilled wine on a summer sidewalk. The final nail? I installed string lights along the fence. Not just any lights, color-changing, motion-sensing, solar-powered brilliance that lit up the entire yard in a gentle glow. From their kitchen window, my parents had a front-row seat to my housewarming wonderland. One night, my mom actually came over. She stood on my porch, eyes a little glassy. "You made this look really nice, Rachel." I nodded. "Thanks. It feels like home." A long silence. "You know," she said, "we just thought Maddie needed stability." I tilted my head. "Funny. That's all I ever wanted too." She flinched. "I didn't mean to be cruel. Or maybe I did. Because here's the thing. Families think daughters are backup plans. Until the daughter gets a deed with her name on it. Now, every morning when they open their blinds, they see me, living well, living close, and living proof that you don't get to erase someone just because you found someone cuter with unicorn wallpaper. I didn't get my room back. I got something better. My own kingdom. With a very satisfying view.